Question 1, tell me about yourself. I'm Alexander Osterman. I'm a junior in chemical engineering. I hope to one day do research. I have been doing undergraduate research for 3 years now, including high school. It's one of my passions, and I would really like to further expand my knowledge when it comes to the biomedical engineering field. Question 2 is tell us what you know about the company. Eli Lilly, I know, has been around for over 100 years. They are one of the leaders in the pharmaceutical fields, especially when it comes to monoclonal antibodies, which is one of my specializations, fields of interest. I know that if I were to gain a position at Eli Lilly, I would be among the top researchers when it comes to antibody-based therapies. The next question is, what is my greatest strength and my greatest weakness? I would say that my greatest strength is that I'm very motivated when it comes to what drives me. I really enjoy working towards my goals, and I like to express my expertise and my interest in those fields. However, I would say my greatest weakness is staying motivated when it comes to things that I am not as interested in. I sometimes find it hard to do my other coursework, not that it always gets done, but it's more of a challenge to do coursework that is less relevant to me than coursework that would say cell and molecular biology compared to heat transfer. Um, I would definitely always do the cell and molecular bio first. The next question is provide an example of your ability to work independently. I would say the greatest example of that would be my current undergraduate project, which is my first independent project having to do with MAC2BP as a nominal E-selectin ligand, and that would be my first independent project, doing all of my own research, guided, of course, by my advisor, but the actual data collection, the assays I designed myself, the experiments I designed myself, I culture my own cells. The work is independent, and so far I'm having an excellent time with it. I'm having success with the project, and my advisor is happy with the results thus far. The next question is describe a time when I had to work with someone who had an opposite personality as mine and how I dealt with it. My current living situation with my roommate, he is more of a laid back when it comes to cleaning the apartment, keeping everything organized. I, however, am the opposite. I like a very clean apartment. I like to make sure that everything's clean before I go to bed. However, he is more of a weekly cleaning person, weekly do the dishes. And how I dealt with that, I just asked to talk to him. We talked about organization, what I would prefer to do versus what he would prefer to do, being upfront with it, but also not being rude, obviously, and expressing that I would more prefer to have the apartment more organized on a more regular basis, and the result of that is that the apartment is now more organized than it has been, and the cleaning schedule is updated, and it stays clean. So the next question is why aren't my grades higher, and are my grades a good indicator of my abilities? Now, my grades are acceptable. However, I think they could be higher. I would say a reason that they're not is the amount of undergraduate research that I currently conduct. That definitely takes a lot of time out of the week for my studies. However, I don't think that you can really judge my abilities looking solely at my grades. I would also look at my publications and my conferences that I've attended to fully show how dedicated I am towards the field, because the reason that my grades aren't higher are because I'm also doing extra work in the field. So that would be an indicator of my abilities. The next question is, what do you get out of engineering that you could not get out of any other profession? I would say definitely that engineering is 100% problem solving. you're always finding the difficult questions and trying to tackle them in the most efficient way possible. That's very satisfying for me. I always thrive to think outside the box and find the solutions to problems. It's just something that's very exciting to me. Um, so I believe that that is why engineering is best suited for my particular skill set. The next question is to describe a time when you had a problem that really tested your engineering know-how. That would probably be in the lab. I was working on a project with a flow cytometry kit that we were looking at the expression of a certain protein on the cells. Um, and the kit started out working fine as advertised. And as we started collecting the data, we saw less and less expression of this protein um, in the cells. And eventually we were unable to find any detection of the protein, which was very odd because the culture conditions for the cells hadn't changed at all. So after lots of reading, research, talking to the company several times, I actually discovered that the reason that we were not detecting any of the protein is that the calcium channel blockers, which prevent the dye from effluxing out of the cells when they're stained, actually can degrade over time in solution, which eventually means that none of the dye will get to the cells, so you won't be able to detect any of the protein. So our solution was to add additional calcium channel blockers into the buffer, which then allowed us to collect our needed data without running into the degradation of these calcium channel blockers. Since we added them right before we needed them, there was no chance for them to degrade, and they were stored dry. So the efflux was prevented because the calcium channel blockers were never allowed to degrade. The next question is, can you tell me a time when you were in danger of not meeting the deadline for a project? I actually can. I attended the AACR annual meeting, American Association of Cancer Research, if you don't know, the annual meeting in New Orleans last spring, which was around the same time as all of my finals. I had to prepare a poster, CV, cover letter in order to apply to the American Association of Cancer Research, and of course the project itself that I would be preparing and presenting at the conference, all while working on my finals and final projects. And because I was focused on classes and the project, I was up very late the night before the due date, preparing everything so that it would be ready for the conference. I did, of course, finish everything. Everything turned out well, but I was very close to not meeting that deadline because I was so busy with my other studies. The last question is, do you have any questions about our company? I would like to know what your favorite part of the company is, the company atmosphere, opportunities for advancement, networking. And then finally, thank you for taking the time to interview me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. So.